If you're just joining us, we're just going to give everybody a few more minutes to log in and get settled. And while we wait, why don't you let us know where you're joining us from in the chat? It's always interesting to see where everybody's coming from.
Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon from Los Angeles. That's where I am. Megan, where are you joining us from this morning?
Good morning from Portland, Oregon. Portland and Mount Hood here.
Oh, it's South Carolina. Sunny New Jersey. Love it. Cologne, Germany. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Good afternoon. New York. This always makes me want to travel. I'm sure like everybody else, want to leave the house. And Vancouver, BC, Brooklyn, Sweden. Thank you for joining.
I love to see all the different places that people are joining us from.
London, Portland, small Portland there.
Seems as though we have a good number of people that have joined already, so I think we can get started. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to our FocusVision Revelation Product Updates webinar, where we will give you new ways to get even closer to your customers. I just want to go through a few housekeeping items before we get started. You'll see two different ways to communicate with us throughout the webinar. There's the chat box and the Q&A box. Please use the chat box for all technical issues related to the platform, and the Q&A box for any questions related to the content of the webinar so that our speakers can kindly answer. With that, I'd like to introduce our speakers for today, Zoe Dowling and Megan Tai. Unfortunately, Julianne Redder wasn't able to join us today, but she's left us in very good hands. At this time, I'm going to pass it over to Zoe so our speakers can tell you a little bit more about themselves and then jump right into the presentation. Would you like to kick us off, Zoe?
I will do. Thank you, Rachel. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for spending this next, 30, 40 minutes with us, where we are going to talk about updates that's happened with FocusVision Revelation. Really happy to make this sort of a session. We want it to be as informative as possible for you. So please do put your questions in the Q&A. We'll take them as we go along. As Rachel just said, unfortunately, we can't have Julianne with us today, but I am absolutely delighted to have Megan. Megan, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, but you've got more than 10 years worth of Revelation experience. So I'm delighted to have your expertise with us here today.
Thanks, Zoe. Nice to tag team with you, and greetings. I recognize many of the names in the attendee list, so great to see all of you again. And for those of you that are new to Revelation, welcome. I've worked with Revelation for nearly 11 years, from prior to it being acquired by FocusVision in 2014. Worked in many different roles and am now a customer success manager. But looking forward to helping answer any and all questions that you have today.
Great. Thanks, Megan. So as we get started, I first want to talk about something that I hope you're all aware of. You might see at the bottom of the screen, FocusVision and Confirm It equals Forster. So I hope you're all aware that in March this year, FocusVision and Confirm It merged. We became one company. We're really, really excited about this because it expands our capabilities. And I think what you'll see starting from now, but it's certainly as we move through the rest of this year and into next year, that we're going to be able to offer you a really substantial end-to-end platform and solutions that really helps you get closer to your customers, that help you understand your customers. And by that, and I use the word understand because Forster, that's the name of our new company, and that's what you're going to be hearing an awful lot more about in the coming months. Forster actually means to understand in Scandinavian languages. And I think this is really important on a couple of levels. Obviously, we as researchers, as people that want to understand our customers, our prospective customers, that is what we are here to help you do. And it also gives a nod to actually our Confirm It heritage that was born in Norway. And then the Forster, the 4 is really a nod to the FocusVision. So I just wanted to give you a very quick overview on why you're seeing Forster and what that means. And hopefully you're already familiar. And if you're not, just to let you know that we are now really going to be super powered and supercharged with the capabilities that we're going to be able to offer you even now and going forward. So with that, we are here to talk about Revelation today. And as you've seen from the invite and what you came to hear about is we've got some new updates. Some of them were released last year, but we were thinking with the pandemic, with people sitting at home, with a lot of different questions and things going on in our work lives, that they could have easily been missed along the way. So we wanted to take the time and talk to you about them today. What I want to start with is just a quick primer. I know many of you are likely to be familiar with Revelation, the sort of the ethos of the platform, what you can do with it. But for those of you that are new to it, I wanted to make sure that we were grounding these new capabilities in sort of with the platform as a whole. And hopefully that for those of you that are familiar, this is just a nice refresher. So we're going to kick off with that. Then I'm going to go into the updates, geolocation question, open registration. There's a preview. This is literally hot off the press, was just released last week, of an updated navigation menu. And then I put in for good measure, there was another feature on automatic video transcription that I just wanted to remind you about. And then we'll go into Q&A. And all the way through this, Megan is going to jump in. She'll be watching the Q&A. So please do put your questions in the Q&A box, and we'll be having a conversation. This is about helping you get the most out of today's session and how to use a Revelation. So what is Revelation, and what is it that we want to be doing? Well, this is all about getting closer to your customers. And we know that we want to get close to people to understand their lives and how they experience it. And the beauty of qualitative, I don't need to be telling you this, the beauty of qualitative is that we can understand people's lives. We can get the richness with it. We can get in depth. Now, the nice thing about the Revelation, the digital qualitative platform, is that it reflects, it's very much part of the now. It reflects, for people participating in studies, it reflects communication today. There is a lot of social media style interactions. They can like, they can comment. And so it's intuitive. It's flexible. People can put it up, pick it up, put it down as they need. So it fits into their lives. And it can work both when they're in home and out of home. And then it also helps them balance their public and private selves, because there's certain things that we don't necessarily want to be talking about in a public forum. And so by creating this closed sort of community that can actually just have a one-to-one interaction between the researcher, yourself, and that participant, or they can be some rapport built and you can have sort of an intimate conversation with a group of people. But it does balance that public and private self. Now, for researchers, it also brings us a lot. It allows us to get those, for people to capture their behaviors. We can't be there all the time. It would be great if we were, sort of a traditional in-home ethnography, immersive ethnography. Those are wonderful, but we can't do that as much as we would like, for logistical, for cost, for everything reasons. So this kind of digital ethnography, self-ethnography, is something that we can really use to help get those behaviors and get them, if not quite in the moment, certainly close to that moment of when they happen, which is really important for trying to capture, what was the spontaneous thoughts, or when you were buying something, rather than hearing the post-rationalization that might come a few hours or a few days later. And then finally, it really helps us with that geographical reach. We're not having to do something that, hey, we need to stay for logistical, for cost reasons, we stay in these metropolitan areas. No, it allows us to span out across the country to remote areas, heck, across the globe. And because that's the beauty of how mobile technology, the availability of it, smartphones and mobile internet technologies really converge and come together so that it's opening up doors and access to people across the globe, really in remote areas as well. So it's a wonderful, it offers a lot of potentials. It's a wonderful tool at our disposal as researchers. The thing about Revelation, if you're an old hat at Revelation, you'll know this, but it's also worth really stressing. It's activity-based. This is not intended to be used as a survey, a closed-end. Yes, you can do closed-end questions in there, but this is not a question and answer with sort of a fixed set of responses. We need to really think about it as doing activities, of getting people engaged in what they're doing. And the reason that that's so important is because that's how we get the richness from it. That's how we get people really coming into the tasks and giving their all. And then that's how we start to peel away the layers of their lives, of their experiences, so that we can understand what's going on. We get that holistic picture. So very much activity based. Here's an old example. Instead of saying, hey, which of these items are in your refrigerator, take us on a tour of your fridge. There's many such examples. I just, always default to that one because I think it makes a lot of sense on the difference between, hey, we could have a checklist because most people, we know that have milk, have butter, have those types of things. But hey, what do they have in there that maybe shouldn't be in there? That maybe the sell-by date is long gone, or something in there that they don't normally have in. They're celebrating their champagne. It's a special experience, or a special occasion in their life. So this is a great way to understand what's going on. Now, as I've already said, these collectors, the way that you're going to be setting up your activities, if you look at them, there are closed-ended questions. There is a text response. Use them creatively. Really think how you're building those activities to engage people, to get them to reveal, uncover aspects of their lives. But they're very, very flexible. Your text response, your multimedia, your photo, your video, your file upload. And by this, I would encourage you to really think about, talked about social media kind of styles, interactions. So really to get people to engage, just like they post whatever's going on onto Facebook or Instagram. Think about that as part of your activities, because we want to understand people's lives through their lens. We want to see what's going on. And particularly now, as the world's slowly beginning to open up from the pandemic, you can just imagine a scene like this where families are gathering for the first time in probably over a year. And, that there's a lot of rich experiences that I think would make sense to capture, depending on your world, these days. And so we want to understand people through their lens. And just to build on that social media style interaction, think about it. I know, if you're capturing a moment, hey, take a picture, do a quick caption as if you're uploading to Instagram. Or if anybody else, there's plenty of people like myself, I'll confess, who's fairly obsessed with TikTok at the moment. Create a short TikTok-esque video where you could have some fun with it, have a meme, build on that type of thing, or do a quick, 1-minute explanation video. So again, it's framing in ways that people are likely to understand, because this is the world that we live in now. And so you're not asking them to do something too foreign. And so they can immediately kind of dive into that task, understand what's required of them, and off they go. Through all of this, what we're looking to do is to really understand people's experiences, to understand how they're navigating through their lives, to understand the behaviors that they are taking. We can do that through diaries and journals, capturing that moment in time. We really want to understand emotions. And that's one of the benefits, again, I'm sure I don't need to be telling you of qualitative research. What is going on with people? How do we get past that rational or post-rationalization of actions taken, but really get to what's going on in the heart through different activities, such as tell me about a time that you were really frustrated by something, or show us some pictures of how you feel. Tell us a time you were surprised by something. Just opening up people in ways which asking directly doesn't get to. And then we also want to understand context, because that's really important. Things don't happen in isolation. How they use your brand, product, or service doesn't happen in isolation. So understanding people's environments, the choices that they make, that really gives us a rich understanding as they narrate their journey. What was happening around this moment, this interaction, this place? How were they feeling? Who were they with? All of those different pieces. So all of the new features, as you're going to hear shortly, really aim to help with how we explore people's lives, how we explore their experiences. So with that, let's dive into some of the new capabilities. And the first one, again, I've already said, as we've been hopefully stopped being so the stay at home, shelter in place, and as people get more out and about and are building or rebuilding their routines or finding new routines, this can be a wonderful way to actually understand where people are and help them capture it in ways that's quite easy to them. So geolocation, it is actually as it sounds, it's a way to easily and accurately capture somebody's location. You as the researcher specify the location type. The participants are then presented a map where with pins that fit that location type. So let's just use the example of a coffee shop. And it's like, you know, you spent a year without your Starbucks. Are you going back to that, or are you going to try different places? So show us your activities. And so they can choose that, oh, I went to the Starbucks on the cross street of this and this. So they select the locations, and then what the researcher returns is an image of the map, the address, and the coordinates. So Megan, actually, I'm going to hand over to you for a little bit more on this. Tell us about what different types of locations can be selected.
You bet. Yeah, you can be as broad or as specific as you wish. So there you have a couple of different options. You can just type in, for instance, grocery store or supermarket, like we see in the image here, or you can be more specific to an actual store name like Walmart or Target, whatever you like. Then there's also a broad category list that maps with Google Maps. So if you're not certain about exactly what terminology to use for that location type, you can select from this long drop-down list of different categories, things like bookstores and museums, and I saw taxi stands, train stations. So a wide list of different categories and location types to select from. And then with respect to the participants, seeing the map populate on their screen, if they don't have location services enabled on their device, no problem. They can just type in their city, postal code, street address, and then it will populate their neighborhood map for them without having to enable location services on their device.
That's a really nice feature, because then we're not forcing people. There's a choice on whether they want to share that kind of information with us or not, directly through the GPS identifier. So hearing the different types of locations that you can select, we were having to think of, where could this be used? Because again, like, it's all very nice to have a question, but actually how could you use this? There's a couple of different places that certainly came to, or activities that came to mind for me. Let's first thinking about trend hunting. And whilst, of course, people are going to see things in unexpected places, so it's not always going to be appropriate for a trend hunting exercise, what could make sense is, just as an example, I was in the mall for the first time a week or two ago in over a year. And as I was wandering around the different clothing stores, I started to see different trends in fashion come to life. You know, if we were sending people out, you know, what's changed in XYZ environment since, you know, in the course of the last year, you could absolutely use it for this type of activity. Something else we talked about, you know, coffee shops, quite an obvious one, but what kind of routines are people into now, or what are they reforming? So if we were looking for a diary or journal, say over the course of a week, of which different types of coffee stores have you gone to, or grocery stores, because you wanted to capture all the different types of stores that people shop at. You know, are they getting their main groceries, or where are they getting their main groceries from? Where are they getting supplemental? Are they going to the gas station, little kiosk? Are they going to a corner shop to get the milk? What's going on? So again, it could be quite useful for that diary journey when there's a repeated locations that they might be going to. And then I think what makes an awful lot of sense is that retail adventure. When we are sending people out on an activity, have a grocery store aisle here. You know, if you're looking for, let's understand your snacking behavior. Another example we've used a lot, but it makes a lot of sense on when we're trying to identify and understand what people do, what they see when they go to a grocery store, or when they go to a mall and different types of a clothing store. What are they seeing? And so again, we can set them that kind of activity, but we can use the geolocation question for them to not have to figure out exactly where am I and what kind of store is this. So they can easily answer it. Any builds from you on that Megan, before we move on?
Oh, sorry. Those are a lot of the regular ones that we see. I mean, you can get pretty creative with this, just trying to understand where people are going. It's certainly since this came out in September of last year, so people were hunkered down. So now trying to get a sense, maybe frequency of going out to places has increased dramatically, or people are going to start going out more frequently. So incorporating this type of question into the activity can be really useful just to understand exactly where they're going. And on the researcher side, there are several output options from these location questions. You've got a text report, which will have the map image in it. You'll have, there's an Excel report, and then there's an Excel with images option also. It'll give you the exact name of the location they visited, the store name, or whatever type of location it is, as well as the specific address, the latitude and longitudinal coordinates, and the Google Place ID. So you'll have a lot of detailed location information, even if, like here in Portland, where we've got a Starbucks on virtually every corner, you'll be able to really pinpoint exactly which one they visited.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. And that's also a really great point, where it's always important to think about what data you're going to get and how are you going to analyze it? What do you need? And there's a lot of flexibility there in the way that you are getting this data outputted. And so again, you can just balance your needs with exactly, you know, how you're reviewing, whether it's on a participant level, whether it's on an aggregate level, where people are going. So lots of flexibility there. All right, let's move on. Open registration. So this was a feature I know that had been long requested, and really glad that it's here. And it's, as it sounds, it's easy sign up for participants. Traditionally, what's been required is that you, as the researcher or your project manager or the recruiter, would need to be uploading the whole list of names of people that have been recruited actively into the project. Whereas this time now, we needed all the information beforehand. We need their name, their email address, different types of level of information. This now allows you to recruit in more creative ways, I think. It opens up the ways that you can bring people into your study. So what you can do is you can create registration links without knowing anybody, you know, who you're going to get, without knowing the participants. The real benefit, I think one of the real benefits of this is how much it would speed up recruitment, because you're not having to say, hey, I'm needing to gather all this information, then I upload it. So basically it's speeding up recruitment and project setup, which means it's also going to speed up the time that you can get into field to start asking those questions and start getting the data, the insights that you need. So what you do is you create the unique links with a click of a button. You can easily identify your recruitment source. So you can create multiple links, just like what we've got on screen here. So, hey, I'm going to do one from a survey, so I'm going to use this link. Or I'm going to be recruiting from social, I'm going to use that link. I'm recruiting from somewhere else. And that allows you to identify where you've got different participants from. They may be segments. You might be looking, hey, I'm going to use my email list, and I've divided that email list into customers and prospects. And then you can easily create segments from there, so that you can have activities that specifically talk to your customers or versus your prospects. Just one example. So there's a lot of flexibility in how we can create these links and how we can use them. And Megan, anything you wanted to add on creating the links?
You bet. Yeah, you can create as many as you wish per segment, and then you'll be able to see exactly which link each individual participant used to gain access to your project. That welcome to support open registration form is what they'll see when they click on a link, and they'll provide some basic information. And then we do ask them to verify their email address, very similar to other opt-in platforms that we encounter on a regular basis. So after they fill out that initial registration form, they'll receive an email to verify that email address, which is very important because in Revelation, they're going to receive emails for a variety of different reasons. They get email notifications whenever there's a moderator question, or in a social activity, if any other participants comment on their postings, that will trigger those email notifications. There's also a built-in messaging platform in Revelation that they'll receive emails whenever they receive a message as well. And then we also have the daily digest summary to keep them on track and up to speed during the fielding period. So all of those things trigger emails, and we want to make sure that the participants are receiving them. So
And
we have that
that's
extra QA.
Yeah, absolutely, Megan. I think that's a very good point, because it also speaks to data quality. You know, we don't just want somebody signing up, and we want to make sure that they are a real person and that they're going to be engaged in the study. So the active step of them actually signing up and being able to verify the email is just another good kind of a quality check on who you're bringing in.
We do have a couple questions in the question area about the sign up, and then we do have a couple on the geolocation as well. Would you like to take those?
Yeah,
now?
let's go for this, where we are right now on sign up.
Okay. All right, so can you append additional profile information into the board after these folks have signed up as you learn more about them? So I can go ahead and take that initially. So once they come in, if you want to have an initial activity where you can ask some screening or profile information, then you can certainly add custom profile fields as you go. The custom profile fields can be added in the participant section and then be used to filter on later. So the initial registration form is what you see here. It's pretty basic information. So knowing where they're coming from and where you place the link, you may have already qualified these individuals to, like, oh, these are customers of such and such brand, or they visit such and such a store. So you'll already know that based on the link that they are sent. But if you want to capture additional profile information, you can do that in some initial activities and then add those profiles as you go. And then a follow-up question to that is, can these links be branded as well? So you can name the links whatever you like. So if you see here in the middle of the slide where it says Decipher Survey, LinkedIn, Facebook, we typed in those survey link names. So I'm not certain how far branding you mean there, but you are able to tailor the names specifically to the target audience or the place that you're placing the links.
One build I would have on sort of the initial question around adding sort of profile information, I do think that's a really good thing to do, because that's going to help with your analysis if you're thinking about how you're sorting out people. I also think that building out, if people are coming in via open registration, they've not gone through the kind of traditional recruiting process where they might have had a screener and they've had a conversation maybe with a recruiter, and we understand what kind of participant they will be within a community. You know, are they able to express themselves in certain ways, or do they have certain experiences that we are particularly looking for? And so these types of sort of initial questions, using them as either as sort of an additional screener, could I think be just again useful to make sure that you understand who you've got in your community with you, how they're responding to your questions, and just digging in a bit more. So I would certainly build in that as your initial activity or two.
We have one other question. When will the registration link feature go live? So it is still in beta phase, which means we do need to enable it for you. If you're working with a Helping Hands project manager on your project, then they will enable the open registration links on your project. If you're an annual license holder of Revelation, we can turn on the open registration links at the account level for you. And after that, any project that you create will automatically have access to those open registration links. So they are live, they are available. We just need to turn them on for you.
So just make the request and it's there.
Yeah.
I see one more about geolocation. Do we need to download the Revelation app for it to be available, or can it be accessed from a browser?
So currently it's available via browser only. So they can use it on any device, you know, it's a smartphone, a tablet, laptop, computer, as long as they do have a browser connection. So if they are in the app, they will see the web only tag on that activity, and they can click on it and go to the browser on their device and complete it from there. One other thing to note is it is available on the US and EU servers for projects. However, it's only available in English only currently. So those Google Maps are for English language segments only in your projects.
Okay, and just to reiterate, as Megan said, this is in beta because of the pandemic and people not being out and about. It's taking a bit longer for us to just get the information that we need to make sure it's working well. And so again, as it comes out of beta, there'll be more features added, I'm sure, to the mobile app and so on. So just to clarify where things are at and where it's going. So, but we definitely encourage you to use it. I think there's a lot of potential for it, for sure. Shall we, why don't I round out the self-registration for now, and then we'll go back to the couple of questions about geolocation. I mean, this is maybe fairly obvious. We've already covered this. How could you use this? When could you use it? Did want to highlight 3 things. One is just around a survey. So if you've got your Decipher survey, you are thinking, and it can indeed be any survey, but it could be just an open at the end, like an open invite. If you're like, hey, I'm speaking to 150 people on this survey, let's see, we know we're going to have to there's only so many people that are actually going to say, yes, I would like to participate in this. I'm just going to open up this to everyone. Or you could do it based on, hey, we're actually particularly interested in speaking to people who have a specific point of view or use a particular product or a particular stage in their life. Then you could ask those questions within the survey, and assuming they answer in the way that you're looking for, then you can use invite them to participate in the survey, in the community, and show them the link, and they can take off and self-register there. So lots of different ways that it can be used, from really going from quant to qual, and I think that's pretty big. And again, because we're not asking for personal information beforehand, we don't need to know who they are. So your survey again could be anonymous, and keeping to all those things. It's just we're inviting them in to a follow-up piece of qualitative research. So I see that as a very strong application of the open registration links. But just some other ways, using social to recruit people, you could have on tweets. You could also do promoted tweets to invite people to, targeting who you're after. So just thinking about that on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Again, think about where your target audience are. And the last one I was thinking about, obviously a website intercept could be good. So if you're able to put this up on your website, and you could show it to every 5th visitor or every visitor, depending on a particular page. So again, think about your websites if you're wanting to bring people in. You could also do it in store. You can easily convert to the link to a QR code, have it up at the, say, by the checkout area, or have little cards. Again, it doesn't have to be all digital. So just a couple of ideas on how to and where to use the open registration link. Any builds, Megan, or have we covered this off, I think, fairly well at this point? And you're on mute.
Pardon me. Those are the main applications that we're seeing so far. One other one that I can think of off the top of my head is if you have a customer list that you want to target as your audience for participants in a community or a study, we see clients sharing a link in a direct communication to their customers via an email, for instance.
Absolutely. That's a very, very good use case of it. Okay, let us move on. I do want to make sure that we get time for the updated navigation. This was just released last week, and what you're going to see here is just a moving image of what it looks like. So your projects now, you're going to see at the top, your top 3 projects, your most recent projects are there, but you can still access them all. The whole idea is to simplify, to make it a cleaner look, hopefully more intuitive. I think it's more intuitive, but again, we'll be loving to hear the feedback from yourself. We've got the option to expand or to hide the navigation menu. I don't know about you, but when I'm in Revelation and I'm analyzing my data and I'm really spending time going through, say, all the videos and so on, I don't necessarily need to see everything that's available to me and other ways to navigate around the platform. So I can hide that away and then just have as much real estate on my screen on just focusing on looking at the data and understanding it. But again, it's very flexible. It can be open or closed based on your preferences. You just click on that sort of hamburger icon. There has been a few things, other things just around the help that I want to point out. The mouse is going over there. Help is always available. So you just look at the question mark and you can either go to the knowledge base or you can actually contact us directly. And then the last thing that I would say before handing over to Megan, if there's anything that I've missed, a couple of the areas have moved around. We've maybe reordered a few of the navigation elements, like this activity builder. Underneath that, we have the activity library and activities and scheduling. I think that makes more sense, fairly intuitive. But again, don't be surprised if the first time you go and you think, oh, where is it that I want to do? But Megan, anything that I've missed or anything else that you would like to point out about the updated navigation?
Sure, just to build on what you've already mentioned. So if you'll notice on the far left of that image, there's a little badge counter now in the message area, so you can see how many unread messages that you have waiting for you. So that's new. Also, where the knowledge base and support links used to be at the very bottom left of the screen, those are now up in the upper right in the header, like is highlighted right now. You can reach out to our technical support team directly from there. They're available 24 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time on weekends and US holidays. So you're still able to reach them directly from your project. If you do have questions for tech support, it's a good idea to access them right from your project, because it does transmit a lot of data to them about what operating system you're using and device. So you don't have to provide any of that information. They'll already have access to it. The header is designed to be similar to other FocusVision products as well. So as we start to integrate and synchronize the different platforms, we've standardized the logo and the headers. So if you use Video Insights, for example, or Decipher, the placement of the different items like the help are in the same place in those platforms as well. So just moving towards moving in that direction too, as we integrate our different platforms. This new header is designed to help facilitate that.
Great. Thank you, Megan. If there's any questions of that, please put them in the Q&A. I'm going to move us on to the last little bonus thing. I put as a quick reminder because I realized that this had also been released last year, video transcription, so automated video transcription. I feel your pain when you've got these rich, wonderful videos. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. It's how we really get a sense of what's going on in people's lives, and we hear them narrate it themselves. But going through all the videos, going back through the videos, we think, I heard this or I heard that, can be onerous. What we have is automated video transcription. It's now available in multiple languages, and we're continuing to expand it. The beauty of this, as I've said, though, is with the transcription, and you are able to, before I move on, you actually are able to edit it. It's automated. It's not going to be 100% perfect. It's going to get you a long way there. I think that's really going to help. You can edit it. And then the beautiful thing, though, is it does come into the word cloud and word tree. So again, kind of helping you along the way with your analysis, hopefully help speed things up so you get closer to your data more quickly. So I just wanted to flag that because I do think it's a pretty neat feature and something that is quite helpful as you're wading through your data. And we all know video is wonderful, but it also has some drawbacks.
Just to build on that, so the transcripts have really been a big boost to helping expedite both the moderation and analysis. You can still watch and listen to the videos in the platform in a YouTube style player, but now you can have the transcripts displayed immediately below, so you can scan the text. Those transcripts populate almost immediately after the participant shares their video, so you don't have to wait until the end of the fielding period for those transcripts to be available. And then the fact that they pull into our data visualization area, the word tree, really helps expedite the analysis of video. You can search for a keyword, and now not only will it pull from open-ended text responses and closed-ended question response options, but it will now pull from those transcripts as well. So you can really track down keyword mentions and verbatims more quickly.
No, that's a great reminder and fleshing out how it really helps with that. So thank you, Megan. I think, to be honest, that brings us to the end of what we've got prepared for you. Let's go back to some of those questions. I'm just going to exit out of my, what I meant to do is stop share. And Megan, let's get those final questions.
You got it. So Anna in Germany, I believe, asked about how many people actively share their location by selecting it from a list. So I'm not sure, Anna, specifically. So the list is what the researcher chooses from to pick a location type that they want people to select from. And then the map will automatically have pins on it that the participants will select from, as well as a list on the side. And I can share my screen too and show you an example of what this looks like. So bear with me just one quick moment and I will share that with you. All right, let me get over here. All right, so here I am. I'm in the web interface on my laptop currently. And so in this in-store shopping experience.
Megan, we're seeing a Word document.
Oh, you are. Okay, hold on one second. Am I on the wrong screen? My apologies. Let me stop sharing. Try that again. Here we go. Okay, now are you seeing the shopping?
No, we are indeed. Thank you.
Okay, apologies. Okay, so I'm on my laptop. I'm in an activity as a participant. I've opened up the activity, and what it will do is I don't have location enabled, so I'm going to just type in my zip code, and now it will quickly populate a map in my geographic area. So Anna, if I'm understanding you correctly, how many people actively share by selecting? You're just wondering how many participants actually partake in this activity. We don't have metrics yet since we've just launched this in September of last year during the pandemic. So we don't have a lot of metrics, but the fact that they don't have to have location enabled on their device, which a lot of people are reluctant to do, here they can indicate where they're located and then select. So that does increase the people who are willing to participate in that type of a question. And then you had a follow-up question about the realness of pictures that participants take. So I guess that's separate from this geolocation question, but just the sharing of pictures. When we ask people to share pictures of themselves or representative photos, we find people are pretty candid. I've seen an example I can think of is we had an adult incontinence study conducted in Revelation, and they were asking people to take before and after pictures. And so when you say, well, they share all kinds of ugliness, they absolutely did in that one. So their activities can be private, and you can specify that in the instructional text so that people will feel more comfortable sharing that information, knowing that it's not going to be seen by the other participants in the project. So you have that option too of designating an activity as private or social too.
Sure.
But we see very candid pictures being shared.
I just want to echo on the candidness, and yes, it is a thing with Instagram that, you know, people present their best selves and their best lives. With this online community and digital qualitative and ethnographies, people do tend to share their worlds, and that's part of sort of your opening exercises where you're building that trust and you're building that rapport to so that people just aren't coming in and sharing their innermost selves. There is a bit of a journey that goes on. A less maybe extreme example that popped to my mind was just of a beauty study that was done a few years ago, and, you know, really women taking actually videos and pictures of their before and after, putting on their makeup, and or taking that video as they're going through the whole process. And again, for some women that can be a very, very vulnerable place to be in, that they don't want to show themselves before that they've created their done their makeup and created their presentation of how they want to present themselves to the world for that day. So definitely a lot of examples like that, where you are really seeing what's going on in people's worlds and their personal and private worlds, as well as just as they go about their everyday life in different places.
Excellent. Another question that we have is, when will a voice-only collector be added? Since some people are more comfortable not sharing their face, and we want to give them that option. So that option does exist currently. Rather than using a video collector or question type, we have the file question type, and that can accept MP3 files, which are audio only files. So if you do want to give people the option of just sharing an audio file in your project, just put that file collector in, and just with some instructional text letting them know that they can share an audio file in that area. All right, if we want them to go to a specific Starbucks location, can the geolocation feature help us to ensure they go to that exact address? That's a good question.
That is a good question. I'm not sure I know the answer to that. I think that'd be a good one to follow up on, because again, I could see definitely the use cases where we're like, oh, I want to understand, are they doing X, Y, Z in that location? So we'll find out and get back to you. But that's a good one. I'm just looking at time. Really appreciate these questions that are coming in. Let's take a couple more before we wrap up. There is one around, will the platform have automatically generated graphics in addition to the word tree, or does it only keep Excel or Excel with images or HTML as downloadable databases? So I think, Megan, if you could just talk us through what you get when you're looking at your graphics and your downloads.
So in the word tree section, let me just hop over there and we can take a quick look here. In the word tree section, you are able to publish the word clouds and word trees up here in the upper right. That is an option to publish those. So you can get graphic images of those from the platform. Otherwise, the graphics, each individual viewing option here in the Explore area has its own download options. So in the responses view, the text reports will grab and resize any images or graphics, as will the Excel with images report. I do have an example of an Excel output from the geolocation question too. So here's the Excel where the participant has visited a specific location here in column C, and we can see the imagery, the actual map in the Excel output as well. So if that's what you're asking about for graphics, there are different options in the different viewing areas. In the images galleries, you can download images shared by participants one at a time if you wish, or up here in the upper right, you can create a zip file of all of the images or graphics shared. If I'm not answering that, I'm not certain, then let me know if you have a follow-up question on that.
Great, thanks, Megan. Let's just take one more before we wrap up. Is the geolocation feature only available in the US right now?
No, it's available on both our US and EU servers. The only restriction is it's for English language segments only. So you could have a study conducted in England or India or wherever, just it has to be in English to currently populate the maps.
Got it. Thank you, Megan. Look, I think we've answered a lot of questions. If we haven't got to yours, our apologies. We're going to reach out and make sure you get the answers that you're looking for. If we haven't fully answered your question, please do get in touch. We're excited about the capabilities. We're excited about the platform and really want to help you get the most out of it. So thank you very much for joining today. And I'm going to turn over to Rachel to sign us out.
Thanks, Zoe, and thank you so much to you and Megan for joining us today. Unfortunately, it looks like we've reached the end of our time together. If there are any questions that didn't get answered today, we will definitely follow up soon. Or you can email us at webinars@focusvision.com and we will respond to your question at that time. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion and we hope to see you at future webinars. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye for now.
Bye.